The metallic screech of tank treads against cobblestone echoed through the narrow streets of Normandy as American armor rolled deeper into occupied France. It was the summer of 1944, and the Sherman tank crews of the Allied forces were about to face their most formidable adversary yet, the German Panther. What followed would become one of the most analyzed and misunderstood armored confrontations in military history, with combat reports from that fateful year revealing a far more complex story than popular mythology suggests. The narrative that emerged in the decades following World War II painted a stark picture. The American Sherman was a death trap, hopelessly outmatched by superior German engineering. Veterans spoke of Panthers shrugging off Sherman shells, while their own guns punched through American armor like paper. Hollywood reinforced this image, showing Shermans brewing up in spectacular fireballs, while Panthers dominated the battlefield with impunity. But the actual combat reports from 1944 tell a markedly different story, one where battlefield realities clashed with engineering specifications in unexpected ways. Lieutenant Colonel Wilson's after-action report from the 3rd Armored Division, dated July 23, 1944, provides crucial insight into early Sherman Panther encounters. His unit encountered 7 Panthers near Marigny, engaging them at ranges varying from 300 to 1,200 yards. The outcome surprised even the American tankers themselves. Of the 7 German tanks, 4 were destroyed and 2 were disabled, with only 1 Panther escaping. The American force lost 2 Shermans destroyed and 3 damaged but recoverable. Wilson noted with evident bewilderment that several Panthers had been knocked out by hits that should not theoretically have penetrated based on our intelligence estimates of enemy armor thickness. The technical specifications seemed to favor the Panther overwhelmingly. The German tank mounted the formidable 75mm KBUK-42 gun, capable of penetrating 5.5 inches of armor at 1,000 yards. Its frontal armor measured 3.5 inches at 55 degrees, creating an effective thickness of nearly 5.75 inches. The Sherman, by contrast, carried a 75mm M3 gun that could barely penetrate 2.5 inches at the same range, while its frontal armor measured just 2.25 inches at roughly 56 degrees. On paper, it seemed like a mismatch of catastrophic proportions, yet Captain James McDonald's report from the 2nd Armored Division in August 1944 revealed the critical variables that statistics couldn't capture. During an engagement near Mortain, his company of 14 Shermans encountered 5 Panthers in a sunken road. The Germans held the terrain advantage, positioned on higher ground with clear fields of fire. McDonald described how his lead Sherman was hit immediately, the crew bailing out as flames erupted from the engine compartment. But what happened next defied the expected German dominance. The American tankers didn't retreat. Instead, they maneuvered aggressively, using their superior speed and reliability to flank the German position. While 2 Shermans provided suppressing fire from the front, the remaining tanks split into 2 groups, racing along the hedgerows to attack the Panthers from the sides. Within 17 minutes, all 5 Panthers had been destroyed or abandoned. McDonald's report emphasized a crucial detail. The enemy tanks, while formidable when static, proved unable to maneuver effectively in close terrain. 2 Panthers became mechanically disabled during attempted repositioning, and crew quality appeared inconsistent. This issue of mechanical reliability haunted the Panther throughout 1944. Major Heinrich Bauer of the Panzerlehr Division filed numerous reports documenting catastrophic breakdown rates. In one particularly damning assessment from September 19th, he noted that of 43 Panthers assigned to his battalion, only 19 were operational at any given time. The others suffered from transmission failures, engine fires, final drive breakdowns, and fuel system problems. One Panther was lost when its engine spontaneously caught fire during a simple road march. Another threw a track while attempting to reverse, immobilizing it permanently. The human element proved equally significant. By mid-1944, Germany's experienced panzer crews had been decimated by 3 years of brutal Eastern Front combat. Replacement crews received abbreviated training, sometimes as little as 4 to 6 weeks, compared to the 6 to 8 months American tankers received. First Lieutenant Robert Cooper of the 4th Armored Division observed this disparity firsthand during the Battle of Aricourt in September. His after-action report described Panthers repeatedly exposing their vulnerable side armor through poor positioning, failing to coordinate with supporting infantry, and abandoning tanks after single penetrating hits that likely hadn't incapacitated the vehicle. The numerical advantage enjoyed by American forces cannot be understated. General Omar Bradley's First Army fielded approximately 2,000 Sherman tanks by August 1944. While German forces in Normandy could muster perhaps 250 Panthers at peak strength, this 5-to-1 advantage meant American commanders could afford to trade losses in ways their German counterparts could not. Colonel Bruce Clark noted in his assessment of 3rd Armored Division operations that we can accept a 3-to-1 loss ratio and still achieve victory through sheer weight of numbers and replacement capacity. But the combat reports reveal American tankers didn't simply accept horrific casualties as inevitable. They adapted with remarkable speed. Crews learned to target Panther weaknesses. The thin side armor measuring just 1 3/4 inches. The vulnerable turret ring, where the gun mantlet met the hull, and the engine deck that could be set ablaze by high-explosive rounds. Tank commanders developed tactics emphasizing movement and flanking rather than frontal slugging matches. The Sherman's faster turret traverse, superior gun depression for hull-down fighting, and better crew ergonomics provided advantages that raw penetration values couldn't quantify. Major Richard Honeycutt's technical analysis of knocked-out Panthers, conducted in October 1944, revealed surprising vulnerabilities in German armor quality. Metallurgical examination showed that late-war Panthers suffered from poor steel composition due to chronic alloy shortages. The armor contained insufficient molybdenum and nickel, making it brittle and prone to catastrophic fracturing. Several Panthers examined showed complete armor plate failures, where a single 75mm hit caused massive spalling or even plate shattering. Honeycutt concluded that theoretical armor values significantly exceed actual protective performance in combat conditions. The introduction of specialized ammunition improved Sherman effectiveness dramatically. 66 units equipped with the high-velocity 76mm gun appeared in July, providing significantly enhanced penetration. Meanwhile, white phosphorus rounds proved devastatingly effective at forcing Panther crews to abandon their vehicles. Lieutenant John Hoffman reported using Willie Pete rounds to set fire to a Panther's engine deck, watching as the crew evacuated a technically functional tank rather than risk burning alive. Perhaps most tellingly, German combat reports from 1944 expressed growing frustration with the Panthers' operational limitations. Oberst Hans von Luck, commanding the 125th Panzer Grenadier Regiment, wrote that Panthers were magnificent machines when operational, but achieving operational status proved the greater challenge. His regiment's Panthers spent more time being repaired than fighting, with average operational readiness rates hovering around 40 to 50% throughout the summer and fall. The statistical analysis compiled by U.S. Army Ordnance in December 1944 painted a nuanced picture. In 63 documented Sherman versus Panther engagements, where ranges and circumstances were clearly established, Shermans achieved a 1.2-to-1 kill ratio at ranges under 500 yards. At ranges exceeding 1,000 yards, Panthers dominated with a 4.7-to-1 advantage. This suggested that American tactics, emphasizing close engagement and maneuver warfare, effectively neutralized German advantages in armor and firepower. The truth emerging from 1944 combat reports defies simplistic narratives of American inadequacy or German invincibility. The Sherman succeeded not despite its limitations, but through doctrine, numbers, reliability, and crew quality that collectively overwhelmed technically superior individual platforms. The Panther failed not because it was poorly designed, but because warfare demanded more than impressive specifications. It required machines that worked consistently, crews trained adequately, and logistics that could sustain operations. In these crucial areas, the Third Reich's industrial and manpower base was collapsing. These combat reports force a fundamental reassessment. The Sherman versus Panther confrontation wasn't a story of inadequate American tanks surviving through sheer numbers alone. It was a demonstration that effective military power emerges from complex interactions between technology, tactics, training, logistics, and industrial capacity. The side that integrated these elements most effectively won, regardless of whose tank looked better on paper. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4.5